views expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect those of this station.
Welcome to Insights into Northeast Michigan, a WBKB News public affairs program. Insights deals with the issues affecting those in the community, as well as Northeast Michigan and the state. And now, Insights into Northeast Michigan.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Insights. I'm your host, Lindsay Idaluca. This week, we're going to be talking to three separate individuals about a new thing called Veterans Refuge Network. I'm sitting here with Andrew Turner, one of the co-founders. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I really appreciate you having us.
All right. So, Andrew, I wanted to talk to you a little bit. First, tell the viewers that are watching, what is the Veterans Refuge Network?
So the Veterans Refuge Network is an organization that my wife and another friend of ours put together to try to address the issue of soldier suicide, soldiers with PTSD, soldiers coming home and having readjustment issues, and we want to be able to connect them with the resources that are available to them and give them help that maybe they're not able to get at this point.
All right, and this is something that's very personal to you because you were in the military, right?
Right. So I am in the National Guard right now. I've been in for about 12 years. I was in Iraq in 2005. One of the soldiers that was in my platoon in Iraq recently committed suicide. It was the third veteran suicide that had affected our core group within the last year. So we just, figured that if we wait around for somebody else to make a difference, then who knows how many more lives are going to be at stake. So we figured we were the ones who make a difference.
So this is something that's definitely very, very personal and very touching to you guys. And that's, I'd like to commend you for starting a movement like this. That's absolutely wonderful. So you guys have some short-term goals so far. I wanted to talk to you a little bit so the viewers can get a little bit of a look of what they're starting to do right now. You guys have a lot of social media, but what are you doing first, some movements to make a difference?
So the first thing that we're concerned with is promoting awareness of the issue. Every day in this country, 22 veterans commit suicide.
Wow.
To us, that's an unacceptable number that we need to lower and get rid of altogether. So just making people aware that there is an issue, that there are soldiers that come home and struggle with PTSD, that need help, and we want to make people aware just that the issue is even there to begin with. So we're just promoting awareness of the problem to start.
Absolutely. So what are some of the top things that you guys are starting with promoting? Like, how'd you get the ball rolling?
So initially, we didn't feel like we were ready to start this project, but just kind of stepping out on faith, we just launched our social media campaign. So
all right.
On Facebook and Twitter and starting a blog just to kind of document our whole process, letting people know that we're here, letting people know that they can get a hold of us if they need help. Mm-hmm. And
I'm sorry, yeah, there's so much. There's just so much. So, all right, so talk to us a little bit about, so you said that you're in the Guard now.
Right.
Okay, so Andrew brought something special for us. You have your medic bag here, so if you want to pull some stuff out and we can take a look at what you have. It's a big bag.
Yeah, so I carried this with me every day in Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a military police unit. We did patrols in Baghdad and Sadr City, and every day we would go to different Iraqi police stations, and I would do health and welfare inspections on the detainee cells. Making sure that they're being treated okay, that they had the medical supplies they needed. I got home from Iraq in, I guess, January 2006, put this bag in a closet, and really haven't touched it since. It's still packed up. I got it out last night just to make sure everything was still in its place, but everything is still, kind of where I left it. I don't know if it's worth opening up, but.
You did this same thing, Andrew, you opened this bag last night for the first time in years, and how did that feel?
It felt really weird, honestly. I don't know if it was like a good feeling or a bad feeling. It kind of made me, have some goosebumps, and it was interesting, I guess. But, everything is still, like my bandages and my tape and my gauze are all in here still, right where I would know to go for them if I needed them. Like my emergency bandages in the most convenient pocket that I'll rip open the zipper first, so I knew exactly where they're at. I got things for.
You got a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that could go wrong, I guess, so I needed to be prepared.
That's true.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of things in here that would have been very useful tools to me at that time.
So after opening this last night and looking at it now, how do you feel looking at it now?
I'm emotional, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of things a lot of memories that it brings up.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of reconnects me to that mind frame that I was in when I was with these guys every day, that now as returning vets we lack. So we don't have that camaraderie anymore. We don't necessarily have that support system with each other. And it just reminds me of those days when, like, I knew when I rolled over, I had 3 of my buddies kind of in the same room asleep with me, ready to get my back, at any second.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's something that's hard for, I'm sure, a lot of people that have never felt anything like that to understand. That brings me to one of my questions. I was looking at the Facebook page, which you can find, you can like them on Facebook, Veterans Refuge Network, and I saw that somebody had commented and said that it would be nice if there was a place to go, a peaceful place to go. So can you reflect a little bit on that?
I guess when I think of a peaceful place to go, I think that's our long-term vision of getting to a place where we can kind of eliminate some of the distractions, get a community of veterans together that relate to each other, know what each other have been through, and help each other through the trying times of readjusting to getting home and the struggles that come with PTSD, and having people there that understand it with you.
Absolutely, and that's what a lot of this is about, right? But staying together.
Right. So every year since I've been home from Iraq, our platoon has done a reunion party put on by our platoon sergeant, who has made it his mission to get everybody together, not let us lose contact with each other or lose touch of, our guys as a platoon. And that's been incredibly valuable for me personally, and I'm sure the other guys too, just knowing that I'm going to get to see these guys, I'm not going to be out of their lives. And we're able to maintain that camaraderie, even despite social media and Facebook. I always know they're there, but being face to face.
Yeah, there's nothing like that.
We get to tell old war stories that get more embellished every year, and it's you don't have that opportunity to do that very often.
Yeah, I like that. I absolutely agree. We have so much social media nowadays, but nothing will ever replace the face-to-face and the actual physical contact that you have with someone. So how do you think that helps soldiers when you're able to stay in contact with your platoons, like you said that you are? Do you think that helps you and your friends to kind of come back to where you are now, and kind of your life just changes so drastically? Does that help, or does that bring up bad memories?
No, it brings up bad memories, but it helps in a way too. So it's kind of an oxymoron, I guess, because it's things like you would normally want to repress or not think about. But when you're with those guys, you know that they understand it because they lived it with you. So you don't have to. You can just bring up a story without having to explain, the backstory, or get into all the details about how it made you feel. They know how it felt because they were there with you. So it's a lot of times when we come back and there's soldiers that struggle with PTSD, 20 to 30% is probably a conservative estimate, but what the VA estimates the number to be of soldiers that come back and have PTSD. But it's not something that people talk about, and it's not a comfortable thing to talk about, and it's definitely not something that's comfortable to talk about with people who don't understand it. So the more we're together, the more likely it is to be brought up, to be talked about, to be acknowledged within the veteran community, and make people understand that it's okay to struggle with that kind of thing and to talk about it, and to eliminate that stigma and that negative impression of, you have to be tough. You can't, ask for help.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's why you guys are doing this. So thank you so much, Andrew, for joining me this morning. I really appreciate it. And don't move, guys, because we'll be right back. We're going to talk with Laura Chirio, who's another co-founder of the Veterans Refuge Network. Stay with us. Welcome back, everybody. I'm sitting here with Laura Chirio. She's another co-founder of the Veterans Refuge Network. Thank you for joining us this morning, Laura.
Thanks for having us. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So, Laura, you are a social worker. You are currently in the National Guard,
yes,
correct? And a lot of your focus is on trauma and PTSD patients, so to speak. So, talk to me a little bit about that. Talk to us a little bit about PTSD to tell our viewers a little bit about it.
Well, for those who don't know what PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder. And what our goal is through the Veterans Refuge Network is to let people know that post-traumatic stress is not a disorder. It's an ordinary reaction to a not ordinary situation. We want to reduce stigma. We want to get people to start talking about what it is that they went through. That way they don't have to keep reliving it every day.
Absolutely. So talk to us a little bit about what you've seen in people with PTSD.
Well, part of the reason why we started this organization is because more recently, 3 times we've had suicide touch our lives very closely. Andrew had one of his guys that he deployed with from Iraq. One of our soldiers from my unit took his own life. My uncle took his own life a few years ago. And what we've seen is that they feel like they have nowhere to reach out to. When you're turned away from places, it's disheartening. And we want to be a place where they turn to, you know.
Absolutely.
And that's the biggest thing. We don't want to have to turn people away. We want to be a welcoming, we want to be a refuge for people who have been turned away.
And that's wonderful. Like I said to Andrew earlier, in light of such an awful thing that you guys have dealt with, to turn around and make it a positive impact like this, I absolutely commend you for that. That's wonderful. So tell us a little bit about the vision, the direction, the mission. Talk to me a little bit about that.
We have our kind of little printout here. This is our flyer that we're going to hand out to people eventually. Our mission is really to serve as a refuge for military veterans, their families, and support systems in a time of crisis and their time of need. What long-term goal is to have a facility where guys can go to, and females can go to, where they can relax, they can be together, and they can have that community bonding, that community network, that what Andrew was talking about with those guys when he came home. Not everyone is fortunate enough to have that. And when they can't get together with their platoon or, you know, their company when they get home, we want to be that company for them.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of our long-term goal. Short-term goal, you know, it takes a lot of money, a lot of funding, a lot of support to get that property, that facility that we want. But short-term, what we want to do is be able to reduce the stigma. We want to get people talking. You know, we're talking about how it has affected our lives, and we want to get other people talking too. The more people that can talk about this and raise awareness to it, the better. I don't want to ever hear people say, I've never heard of PTSD before, because this isn't just our war, this is the nation's war, and we need to start owning it.
Absolutely. So I want to tell our viewers a little bit more about your program, a little bit more about where you're going to be based, and talk to them. I know that you want to set up an actual a refuge, a place. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, since we're still in the beginning stages, we don't have an actual location yet, but that's what we're working towards, long-term goal. We want to have a facility where they can have group cooking classes and they can go fishing and hiking together. But at the same time, it's not just a retreat. It's a refuge where they can go, but also it's hard work, because what we want to have is group therapy. We want to have individual therapy. We want to have it be a holistic view of recovery. In lieu of everything that they've been through, we want it to be something that, even though it's hard work to get, you know, recovery, we still want them to enjoy what they're going through and have that community bonding.
Absolutely. Now, as a social worker, you've seen a lot of this because your focus is in PTSD. So talk to me a little bit about how it is that bonding with other people and being able to talk about that. How does that work to kind of work through the struggles of PTSD?
Well, Andrew shared a little bit earlier. It helps that you know that they've been through that same thing, that they've worn the same uniform as you, whether they've been to the same exact place, the same war or not. It helps to understand that somebody understands you. And that's kind of what people are looking for. A lot of guys returning, coming home from OIF, OEF, OND, they don't want to go to a civilian provider who doesn't even know the difference between the Army, the Air Force, the Marine Corps, the Navy. They want somebody who understands who they are, and that's important to them. And that's important to us. We want to be that for them. We understand. We have people who support us who understand, and we want to be that for other people.
Absolutely. So you talked a little bit about your short-term goals. Talk to us a little bit about your long-term goals.
Long-term, we're shooting big. I mean, we're going big here. But long-term, we want to have all kinds of innovative, holistic therapies. We're talking fishing, swimming, hiking trails, horse therapy.
What's horse therapy? Talk to us a little about that.
Well, we use a lot of, like, we have dogs that are providing therapy for our veterans right now, but also horse therapy, same kind of thing. A lot of guys that are returning are finding it very calming to engage in any kind of animal therapy. Also art therapy, whether it's comedy, whether it's writing, painting, that kind of thing. We want them to find their niche, because just as the symptoms of PTSD are different, so are the therapies for PTSD, and we want them to know that we can work with them and find their niche.
Absolutely. So things like this, whether it be through animals or art or something like that, when they do find a niche, it helps them to, would you say, because I think that this is something that people confuse, is it something that you ever really get over?
I don't think it's something that you ever really get over, but as far as trauma, the idea is that you don't have to keep reliving trauma. Those things that you went through can be an experience, and that's never going to be out of your life, and that's not something we want anyone to ever forget, because those things were real and those things happened. But as far as living a good, healthy life, after those things, that's something that can really happen, and that's something we can work towards with the right amount of therapy, the correct kinds of therapy. That's something that can happen. Do you ever get over it? No. But can you live a healthy life? Absolutely.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Laura, for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you again for having us.
Absolutely. We really appreciate it. And don't go anywhere, guys, because coming up next, Jamie Turner will also join me on the couch to talk a little bit more about the Refuge Network. Stay with us. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I'm sitting with Jamie Turner, who's actually Andrew's wife. Yes. And Jamie, we're going to talk about a couple different things. First of all, I wanted to talk to you about, as a military wife, I want to talk a little bit about family, how important it is to be there for spouses, for brothers, sisters, cousins, any type of family relationship, how important it is to be there and to listen.
Absolutely. I found in my personal experience, we're National Guard family, so we aren't surrounded by active duty military, and it's often hard for people who don't live the life, like they sympathize with you, but they don't really understand it. That goes from when he left from boot camp to coming home to when he was deployed. It's difficult for the people that are left behind, like that carry on day-to-day lives while still worrying and stressing. And some of the information that we've come across, we've found a lot of times the family members of veterans who come home and are, experiencing symptoms of PTSD, the family members often start to experience their own symptoms of PTSD. Yeah.
Really?
And so our focus with the Veterans Refuge Network, obviously we want to focus on removing the stigma and letting people know it's okay to talk about, but also providing some support for their families, for their spouses. One of the resources on our blog is a 800 number for caregiver support. Okay. Because a lot of times they don't know that there is somewhere that they can go to talk. Like, I don't understand what's going on, Sometimes it's embarrassing, like, why can't I handle this? I feel like everything should be okay, So we want to, open the dialogue for both ends. So I bring a different perspective to it. We've been having a lot of conversation. Our friend who passed away this past January, we've had some conversations with his family since then, and they're amazing people and have been helping us and providing us with this wealth of network, and they want to make a difference as well. So and that's just one family. There's so many and so many caring people that want to be involved, and it's been an amazing few weeks here. So we're excited about that. Sorry if I'm
no, that's great. You're so
I'm
excited.
Passionate about it. I am,
and that's important.
It feels good. Like, it feels like finally we're getting somewhere. So
that's wonderful. Absolutely. And I wanted to pause for a second.
Sure.
You said something about your blog.
Yes.
And I want everyone to know that you are the social media guru, so to speak. Jamie does all of the tweeting, the Facebook, everything. They have a blog, and I wanted you to kind of tell everyone what your blog site is.
Sure. Our blog site is veteransrefugenetwork.blogspot.com. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/veteransrefugenetwork, or follow us on Twitter at Veterans Refuge. So
At Veterans
yeah, we're trying to like link the three together. Our Facebook is where we post a lot of different links for therapies that we've had people say, oh, this has been a success. Like yoga has been found to be very beneficial and calming for PTSD symptoms. So stuff about yoga, 800 numbers. Our blog is where we're kind of documenting our journey as we're going, like as scary as it is. So
no, that's great.
Yeah,
you guys can look at it. You
the
can
good,
look
the
back
bad, the
at
ugly.
it. Yep,
yeah. And,
absolutely.
That's also where we have a resource list. It's very extensive. So if anybody needs to get in touch with a specific provider, that's a great place to go. We've got it all up there and keeping it up to date. And
Perfect.
And then our Twitter, we got followed by 2 fake Kid Rocks.
Oh, cool!
Like, yay! No, so, but it was still exciting.
Oh,
so.
that's very cool.
Yeah,
so
so
you guys are getting
working,
somewhere.
Yeah, I'm working that aspect of it. And
yeah, absolutely. Well, social media, it's so important nowadays to reach people and,
yes.
and stuff like that. It really is. It's a huge thing. So
Even
that's
the
perfect.
Fake Kid Rocks.
Yes. Absolutely. So, and I know that you're, other than just the social media, you have a lot of the business perspective.
Yes.
So
that's,
about that.
we're in the process right now of applying for our nonprofit status. So we've got the paperwork sent into the state for like the first step. Once that comes back, then we're going to send in the 501c3 nonprofit paperwork. So while we're getting all of those ducks in a row, in the meantime, we're focusing on the short-term goals. While we're creating our list of our dream goals, what we want to do, how we're going to get there, obviously it's going to take a lot of funds and grants and fundraisers and bake sales. So
absolutely, tell the viewers for those that don't know, tell them a little bit about what those ducks in a row mean, why you guys have to fill out all that paperwork and stuff like that.
Well, we want to be a nonprofit. There are treatment facilities that are amazing, and they cost for 1 month, $30,000. We would love, because obviously coming from a military family, we know that that's not feasible, and we're not out to make a buck. We want, even if we can help one person, then okay, so it's been a success.
Yeah.
So eventually we would like to have our refuge where if somebody needs to come and stay and it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks or whatever, like we can let them stay even if they have no money. So that's going to take money. That's where the fundraising is going to come in, and that's our goal. So.
Absolutely. So you guys have some plans.
Yes. Yep. And actually our friend Zach, who passed away in January, his dad started a GoFundMe site, and it's gofundme.com Zach's-PTSD, and he really wanted to be involved and seemed passionate about what we're doing and wanting to make a change. So we've had a lot of people already give amazing donations for some of all the legal fees that we're going to be footing, just to get where we want to go. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, it was very generous and
amazing community support. Now,
yeah, it's been great.
Absolutely. And we only have a couple minutes left in the show, but I wanted to say, where do you guys plan to put the refuge?
Well, we're all Michigan natives, so and there's veterans all over the state of Michigan.
Everywhere.
So ideally we're thinking like somewhere central where it's not 6-8 hour drive for some people. Yep. However, on the way up from Detroit area, we were passing the lake and we're like, oh, it's so beautiful. So we don't have a place. We've been looking online at different properties and stuff, and our dream list. Yeah, absolutely. But somewhere where their families can come and visit, and
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And before we wrap it up, I just ask if you could share to the community, anybody that's watching this right now, if they want to go, if they want to donate, if they want to help out with whether it's monetary, they want to donate their time, anything, if you want to give them a little information about who they could call, who they could contact.
Well, right now we have the GoFundMe site, which is gofundme.com Zach's-PTSD, and that's our primary fundraising site right now.
Zach says Z-A.
Z-A-C-K-S.
Okay.
And then 1 dash, not an underscore, PTSD. Also on our Facebook page, if anybody out there has had experience with PTSD and they're like, oh, this has really been beneficial to me, like we'd love to open a dialogue, tell us what works for you, because you never know who's reading it and they're like, oh, I might try yoga,
absolutely.
which, my 6-foot husband has tried. So, and he's very,
He likes it. That's
yeah,
wonderful.
absolutely.
It helps.
So why not? So.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Jamie.
Thank you for having us.
All of you guys really appreciate having you here on the set.
Yeah,
we learned a lot.
We're very grateful.
And
so.
we wish you guys the best of luck, and we hope
Thank
that
you.
everything works out.
Yeah, we'll come back and let you know how it goes.
Thank you. We're looking forward to it. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this week's edition of Insights. You can catch us back here tomorrow, next Sunday at 11.
Insights into Northeast Michigan is produced by WBKB News. If you have any comments, suggestions, or topics you would like to see on a future show, please email WBKB News. This has been a production of Thunder Bay Broadcasting Corporation. All rights reserved.